What's up, guys? Jacob from JC TechSpot here, and wow, iOS 10 has finally been released to the general public. As we know, anyone with a 64-bit device, meaning an iPhone 5S or up, was able to get beta versions of iOS 10. As you can see here, the software update. Now let's just take a look to start this video on what iOS 10 is hoping to bring to the iPhone. So essentially, it says in the print, iOS 10 is the biggest release of iOS ever. Now, first of all, my response to that is, what about like iOS 7? Something that completely changed and improved the, essentially the entire device itself. What about that? Well, you kind of have to question what Apple was thinking when they said iOS 10 is the biggest release of iOS ever. Personally, I'm not sure that it was that big. I think it works great. I think iOS 10 is great for especially the bigger devices like the iPhone 6s Plus, and I'm sure it'll work great with the 7 with lots of new features, but I wouldn't necessarily agree that it's the biggest update ever. Either way, essentially, iOS 10, you can look up pretty much everything. There's just a long, huge list of basically everything that iOS 10 is bringing to Apple phones and iPads. I honestly think it's a pretty good update. I know some disagree, but essentially, these are essentially the terms for iOS 10. Now we're going to go ahead and look at essentially what is actually new in iOS 10 that we were promised. We were promised so many new features, and I have to say, just to go ahead and start things off, one of my favorite new features of iOS 10 is the redesigned look of the control notification center. As you can see here, we have finally been brought colored buttons. Do not disturb is purple, the screen lock red, and you can also see airplane mode is orange. So I also like the round corners. I like the fact that there's multiple pages. I think that all adds something really nice as well. As you can see, the notification center, the look for the notifications is all completely different. It's kind of very similar to a jailbroken version. You can pretty much do all the same if you're running an iOS 9.3.3 jailbreak, which is the latest jailbreak. So I honestly think that they could have done something even more than this to make it even bigger. But honestly, I do think they did a pretty good job with the redesigning of the notification and the basically the control center. So essentially, I just think that the customization that they added to all of this is pretty big. It's something that a lot of people have been waiting for, and something that Apple has pretty much never given to us. Now, another thing that I'm not necessarily huge on is the Home app that has been added. They also added a Playgrounds app. Unfortunately, it is not on this phone, but the Home application essentially allows you to add essentially to, all kinds of different devices to your one device. So essentially, it basically allows you to store all kinds of stuff on your home screen. So essentially, multiple people can be using your device using their home. So they did add the Playgrounds app. I haven't really experimented with that one yet, but I'll probably be making another video at some point that explains all of that. Now, they did update Apple Music, which I think was really important. Being that Apple Music, the previous version was very buggy, and so pretty much I think all that customization, that's all good, but it could have been better. Another thing I really definitely like is the fact that now you can delete, basically you can delete some of iOS's stock applications. You can delete the Home app, you can delete iBooks, News, Stocks. You can basically delete apps that you don't use. Like, for example, I've never used the Stocks app, and I've never used the Reminders app. So essentially, I could, if I wanted to, I could delete those apps from my phone, and basically that would clear up a ton of space on my home screen. So essentially, in terms of customization, I think Apple did a pretty good job utilizing what they had in iOS 10. For example, if we lock the device, they got rid of the swipe to unlock, which I am kind of sad because that was one of the main things that pretty much distinguished iPhone from everything else, was that it did have its special, swipe to unlock. That's mainly what I remembered when I was using an iPhone, which I honestly, I kind of miss it. But now they did add some cool new pages to the lock screen, which I think sometimes can be good and sometimes can be bad. And the fact that you have to press home to unlock isn't always that great. So essentially, that's just a couple of the customization features in iOS 10 that iOS 10 has brought to us. So essentially, if you want to go deep into it, you definitely can, as the new software has been updated about 2 days ago. Now, it's basically when we'll be seeing iOS 10 jailbreak. So according to Pangu teams, they're working to get a jailbreak out to us, hopefully untethered, by the beginning of October. We could probably hope for sooner, but they've pretty much given us what they can. Either way, guys, once again, Jacob from JC TechSpot. Thanks for watching. We'll be coming out with an updated video soon enough.